Motorists believe that mechanics have overcharged them by a total of more than £800 million. A survey this week has found that out. Now, a car maintenance app called Engie commissioned the research and said they found that 1 in 7 of us claim to have been ripped off when paying for repairs. Ian Griffiths set up whocanfixmycar.com in 2011 in Newcastle. So this is whereby mechanics pay him to be put on his database and be sent information about drivers looking for work to be done. Customers then review their performance for other drivers to see. And in the 6 years since the website has been set up, it's had more than 400,000 customers online. So he knows a thing or two about what drivers do and don't like about the way garages work. I spoke to Ian earlier and asked him why he actually set it up in the first place.
I've always had an interest in cars, but never had any kind of technical knowledge when things went wrong. I kind of found myself asking a lot of questions when I need to get a service or repair. Things like, did I use an independent or did I have to go back to a franchise dealer? Would I get a good service from the mechanic? Am I paying the right price? These are kind of questions that I've wanted to know the answer to before I went into the workshop rather than, after I'd had the service and left the workshop. And I just realized there was nothing online that allowed me to kind of compare workshop versus workshop in a given area in the country. And that was the idea, really. That's where we started out.
So tell me how it works exactly then.
You post your job. We then have an algorithm that runs in the background and sends it to relevant mechanics and workshops in the local area, and we kind of welcome them back to come in and provide quotes.
And you've got 9,000 garages on your books, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. The vast majority of those are independents, but we've got franchise dealers and some of the large fast fit chains on there as well.
So how do you go about deeming these garages and these workshops as being trustworthy? Because that's what it's all about at the end of the day, isn't it? Knowing that you're going to get the right job done at the best price. Yeah,
that's right. And we must bear in mind that it's an unregulated industry. So we have an initial vetting process. So we look at the business. We ask for a number of pieces of documentation, which include their public liability insurance, a utility bill, a parts bill, so we can identify the business, check out that they are a real business. Going forward after that, we closely monitor the quotes that those garages are provided back, what type of work they're quoted on, and then ultimately they're vetted on their ongoing customer reviews. So every driver who uses the site is encouraged to leave a review, good or bad, for that garage.
What are the main complaints that you see with regards garages?
The main things that we actually see are things like customer service, so mobile mechanics not turning up on time, or people arriving at the garage and the booking has mysteriously disappeared. It's very rare we get complaints about customers being ripped off or bad workmanship. It's more about punctuality and customer service, really.
Do you think that mechanics deserve the reputation that they have for targeting, say, single women or older people and then bumping up the cost? I mean, does that actually still happen? You've just mentioned there that the most complaints you get tends to be about customer service, but does this still happen?
Well, it's interesting you mentioned single women. We ran some research last year that showed that prices quoted to single women was actually, or to women, was actually slightly lower than prices quoted to men via the site. So I think that's a bit of a myth. Although historically, this industry has had a bad reputation, and it still weighs heavy on the whole industry. There are still bad eggs in the industry, but the vast majority of mechanics workshops that we see on our site have got very good reputation, very good customer service, and are building out a real strong review profile online.
Have you found that more older people are using your site?
We see a split. We see a split of ages between very young kind of new drivers who don't have the budget necessarily to go out and pay the first mechanic they see on the street. They really want to kind of compare, get a great deal on price. But the older generation like to do that kind of comparison. They like to know whether they're getting the right deal, the right price, and it's getting the right customer service. It's not always the price that's the deciding factor. So we've got a mix of ages of people using the site with kind of a different goal.
So, Ian, what advice would you give then? I mean, not just all the customers that we mentioned there, but anyone who gets nervous when there's a problem with their car and maybe they're not web savvy. I mean, what advice could you give there?
Yeah, I think, if you're not web savvy and you've got an issue with your car, I would always say to ring multiple garages. Having numerous quotes to compare is always a good thing. Make sure you get a very detailed estimate of what those garages mechanics think is wrong with the car and what they're going to do to rectify that. I'd say make sure you're kept informed through the process so that if they do find other things, that you're made aware of them before, the workshop goes ahead and fixes something that they've previously not put on their estimate. And then a good one, once a car is repaired, you can always ask to see the parts that have come out of the car, so those used parts, so you can see what's come out and then what's come back into the car.
So that's Ian Griffiths, who channeled his frustration at finding a garage into setting up an online business matching mechanics with jobs. And he suggests asking to see the old parts that have come out and shopping around. You don't even think about that, do you? Well, I don't. If you are someone who struggles with trips to the mechanics, or you're a mechanic who's listening and you're sick of this bad reputation that you seem to keep getting labelled with, then please do let me know. Get in touch with the text 81333, start your message BBC. But better than that, we'd love to hear from you and have a chat to you.